And next, I'd like to ask Mari INOUE from Human Rights Now.
Thank you very much. My name is Mari INOUE. I'm a representative of the New York office of Human Rights Now. Human Rights Now is an international NGO, human rights NGO based in Tokyo with more than 700 members. We have quite a few lawyers, scholars, journalists as members. Since its establishment in 2006, we have been dedicating ourselves to educate the public and to promote and to protect human rights, mainly in Asia. After the Great East Japan earthquake that caused tremendous damage to the Japanese community, Human Rights Now sent our members to areas that were affected by the earthquake, tsunami, and the subsequent nuclear disaster in Fukushima to conduct fact-finding missions. Members also visit affected areas regularly to provide free legal advice to residents of those areas. We also published an opinion paper in August requesting the Japanese government and TEPCO to re-evaluate their policies on compensation, evacuation, decontamination, food safety standard, and other immediate measures to protect people affected by the disaster. Our goal is to protect and promote fundamental human rights, such as the right to health, and to spread the voices of members of underrepresented communities so that they will be heard in the international community. I would like to thank all of you for coming to the press conference today. Thank you especially to those of you who have been reporting the voices of people whose daily lives were affected by the nuclear disaster. We humbly ask you to continue to pay attention to the plight of the people in contaminated areas and to the many dedicated efforts by grassroots and citizens groups, both in Japan as well as in the world, to support the Japanese communities affected by the disaster in the field of health, education, and more. To raise awareness of the situation in Fukushima after the nuclear accident, Human Rights Now co-organized a Human Rights Forum in March of this year at the UN Church Center in conjunction with the 56th United Nations Commission on the Status of Women here in New York City. During this forum, mothers and children who were evacuated from Fukushima spoke about the ongoing disruption of their lives. One of the children was a 7-year-old boy who evacuated from Fukushima with his mother and his sister without their father, because their father decided to remain in Fukushima to work so that he can financially support the family. During the forum, this boy asked us an important question. He said, why grown-ups did not think that a nuclear disaster could happen in their countries when there was a nuclear disaster in Chernobyl. So today, we'd like to propose that the right to compensation and support for relocation and long-term medical care in relation to internal and external exposure, radiation exposure from the fallout must be provided to the residents in contaminated area where the annual radiation dose exceeds 1 millisieverts, which is the national pre-catastrophe standard in Japan. Stricter food safety standards and other necessary measures must also be implemented to protect the health of infants, children, and pregnant women. The standard to burn disaster debris needs to be re-examined to protect the health of local people. The levels of radioactive contamination must be monitored, and the reading and critical information disclosed to residents in a timely manner. We also would like to take this opportunity to reach out to other NGOs, representatives of the UN member states, diplomats, scholars, scientists, physicians, and others who are also concerned about the grave situation in Fukushima. We request you to act to protect the health and human rights of those who are affected, and to minimize the immediate and long-term effects. We also would like to ask you to share your knowledge, your expertise, and your experience with the Japanese community so that we can work together to minimize and mitigate the consequences of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. If you are interested in organizing a parallel event or a side event at the UN to raise awareness on the situation in Fukushima or on related issues, please contact one of the sponsoring organizations. The Fukushima disaster was a wake-up call for all of us. We cannot change the past, but we can change the future to protect the children and their children, because they are the future of society. Thank you.